She doesn't let water touch her when she's outside. But that afternoon, an unexpected rain began to fall. Before she could run to a hiding place, she transformed into something that made everyone scatter in terror. What you're about to hear will make you think twice before buying fish from any seller you meet. The ceiling leaked again, and Ndidi pressed her back against the damp wall of her tiny Lagos room, watching brown water drip steadily into the metal bowl she had placed on her bed. Outside, the city hummed with prosperity that seemed to touch everyone except her. Ndidi, her landlord's voice boomed through the thin door. My money. Where is my money? She closed her eyes, counting the crumpled Naira notes hidden in her mattress. 43,000. The rent was 60. Mr. Adebayo, please, she called. Give me 3 more days. I have clients coming. His bitter laugh sliced through her hope. 3 days? You said that last week. Pay me, or pack your things. His heavy footsteps faded down the corridor, leaving Ndidi alone with the dripping water and her growling stomach. She hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. Her phone buzzed. A text from her friend, Obioma. Babe, you still struggling? I told you about that man. The one who can change everything. Ndidi stared at the message. She had heard whispers about this mysterious medicine man. Just stories. Desperate people telling desperate lies. Another drop of water splashed onto her head. Maybe desperate was exactly what she was. The motorcycle dropped Ndidi at a junction she didn't recognize. Obioma waited under a baobab tree, her designer handbag gleaming in the sunday. You look terrible, my dear, Obioma said, embracing her. When did you last eat? Yesterday. Ndidi's voice was barely a whisper. See, this is why you need to listen to me. Obioma started down a narrow path that seemed to lead nowhere. 6 months ago, I was exactly like you. Broke, desperate, ready to give up. Ndidi looked at her friend's gold jewelry, her expensive shoes. What happened? I met Papa Eze. They walked in silence until they reached a compound hidden behind tall grass and palm trees. The air smelled different here, thick with incense, and something else Ndidi couldn't place. An ancient man emerged from the shadows. His eyes held depths that seemed older than the earth itself. So, Papa Eze said, his voice like rustling leaves, you are the hairdresser who wants more than hair. How did you know? He smiled, teeth stained dark with kola nut. Sit, child. Tell Papa Eze what brings you to his door. Ndidi poured everything out, her struggles, her empty stomach, her leaking ceiling, her dreams of owning something, anything that would make her feel human again. Papa Eze listened without a word. Then he stood, walking to a shelf lined with bottles and bones. Wealth, you say? Success? Independence? He turned back slowly. What would you do for these things? Anything. The word escaped before she could stop it. Papa Eze's smile widened. Anything is a dangerous word, child. Are you sure? Ndidi thought of her landlord's threats, her empty stomach, the way people looked through her like she didn't exist. Yes, anything. Business, Papa Eze mused, circling her like a predator studying prey. What kind of business calls to you? Ndidi's mind raced. Fish. People always need fish. Ah, his eyes gleamed. Fish. Yes, that can work. But my gifts come with conditions. He reached into a pouch and pulled out 3 objects, a cowrie shell, a piece of dried bark, and something that looked like scales but felt wrong in her hand. First condition, he said, placing the cowrie shell in her palm, water must never touch your skin when you are outside. Rain, rivers, even spilled drinks, never. That's strange, but okay. Second condition, he pressed the bark into her hand. You will cleanse yourself only with the fish you intend to sell. When you do this, your supply will multiply. Ndidi frowned. Cleanse myself with fish? I don't understand. You will. Third condition, He placed the scale in her other hand. She shivered. You will work only on Eke days. This protects you from rain and multiplies your profit. These rules are odd, but do not interrupt. Papa Eze's voice carried sudden menace. Break any condition and the consequences will be permanent. Something cold crept up Ndidi's spine. What kind of consequences? The kind that cannot be undone. He began mixing powders in a calabash, chanting in a language that seemed to rise from deep underground. The air grew heavy. Her skin burned, then tingled, then crawled with invisible insects. When the chanting stopped, she felt different, lighter, hungrier for something she couldn't name. Go, Papa Eze said. Your new life awaits in Udi village. Set up your business. Follow the rules. What if? Go. 3 months later. Ndidi! Chike, the yam seller, called out as she arranged her fish display. Your skin is glowing today. You must tell me your secret. Ndidi smiled, running her hand along her arm. Her skin did look different lately. Smoother. Almost luminous in certain light. Good living, my brother. Good living. And it was good. Better than good. She'd bought a 3-bedroom house with a generator and a borehole. Her bank account grew fatter each day, and she'd already started looking at plots of land in neighboring towns. Ndidi, called Mama Eze from the next stall. Where exactly do you get these fish? Mine are dying before I can even get them to market. Far places, Mama. Very far places. Ndidi's standard answer rolled off her tongue like a prayer. But Mama Eze persisted. How far? I have money for transport. I can go anywhere. Trust me, Ndidi said, avoiding her eyes. You cannot go where I go. The older woman's face hardened. Why are you being secretive? We are all trying to feed our families. Some journeys are not meant for everyone. Mama Eze's expression shifted from curiosity to suspicion. She wasn't the first person to ask increasingly pointed questions about Ndidi's success. As if sensing the tension, dark clouds began gathering overhead. Oh, Ndidi quickly covered her fish. I must go. The weather is changing. But it's barely afternoon. Ndidi was already packing with the frantic speed that had become her trademark. Other sellers had started using her departures as weather forecasts, and they weren't wrong. She could sense rain hours before it arrived, feel it in her bones like an approaching predator. Same time next Ike day, she called, hurrying away with her remaining stock. Behind her, Mama Eze watched with narrowed eyes. There is something wrong with that woman, she muttered to her neighbor. Something very wrong. 6 months after the bargain. Ndidi stood before her bathroom mirror, examining the patches on her arms. They looked like scales, but that was impossible. Scales didn't grow on human skin. She scratched at one, and it felt hard, almost metallic under her fingernails. The scratching made her skin itch more, spreading the sensation up her arms like fire through grass. Her phone rang. Her property agent. Madam Ndidi, the papers for the Enugu property are ready. 5 million naira, just as discussed. Perfect, she said, still staring at her reflection. Her eyes looked different too, darker, more reflective. I'll transfer the money today. You are doing very well for yourself, madam. Most people your age are still struggling to buy their first plot of land, and you're acquiring properties in multiple states. Pride swelled in her chest. She owned 4 houses now, had money in 3 different banks, and was planning to buy a small hotel in Abuja. The hairdresser who used to sleep on a leaking mattress was gone, replaced by a successful businesswoman whose wealth grew with each passing month. But as she hung up the phone, that strange, fishy smell hit her again. It had started weeks ago, faint at first, then growing stronger. She'd tried every soap, every perfume, but nothing could mask the scent that seemed to come from inside her own body. At the market, She noticed people stepping back when she approached. Children wrinkled their noses. Even her loyal customers had started breathing through their mouths when they bought from her. "Mama Ndidi," young Emeka said hesitantly, "are you feeling well? You smell like old fish." She forced a laugh. "When you work with fish all day, you smell like fish all day. It's natural." But even to her own ears, the explanation sounded hollow. That woman is not human. Mama Ndidi's declaration cut through the evening air like a machete. 5 other sellers had gathered at her compound after market hours, sharing their growing concerns about Ndidi. "Don't be dramatic," said Olu, the youngest among them. "She's just very successful." Successful? How? Mama Eze leaned forward. "Tell me, have any of you ever seen her sweat, even on the hottest days?" The group fell silent. "Have you seen her eat or drink anything during market hours? Ever?" More silence. "And that smell?" added Ngozi, the palm oil seller. "It's getting worse every week. My customers complain that they can smell her stall from 3 rows away." "Maybe she's sick," Olu suggested weakly. "Sick people don't get richer every week," Mama Eze countered. "Sick people don't run from rain like it's acid. Sick people don't have eyes that shine in the dark like a cat's." "You saw her eyes shine?" Chike leaned closer. "Last week, when those storm clouds came and she was packing up. For just a moment, when she looked at me." Mama Eze shivered. "Those were not human eyes." "So what are you saying?" Ngozi whispered. "That she's some kind of... what? Witch?" "I'm saying," Mama Adaye stood up, "that tomorrow is Eke Day, and I think it's time we found out exactly what our mysterious fish seller is hiding." The next morning brought unusual humidity. The air felt thick, pregnant with moisture that made everyone's clothes stick to their skin. Mama Adaye positioned herself 3 stalls away from Ndidi, close enough to observe but far enough to avoid the overwhelming fish stench. She'd convinced 2 other sellers to help her watch for anything unusual. Ndidi arrived precisely at dawn, as always. Her fish were more beautiful than anyone had ever seen, glistening like jewels in the morning light. But the smell that surrounded her was now so powerful that customers had to cover their noses with cloth just to approach her stall. "Good morning, Mama Ndidi," called out Mrs. Okafor, one of her regular customers. "Your fish look wonderful today." "Thank you, my sister," Ndidi replied, but her usual bright smile seemed strained. "Fresh from the river, just this morning." Mrs. Okafor paid quickly and hurried away, breathing heavily through her wrapper. Even her loyalty had limits. By midday, the sky began to darken with alarming speed. Clouds rolled in from all directions like an approaching army. Mama Adaye watched as Ndidi's head snapped up, her nostrils flaring like an animal sensing danger. "Pack everything," Ndidi muttered to herself, her hands moving with frantic speed. "Pack everything now." But the storm was moving faster than usual. The first fat raindrops began to fall while she still had fish laid out on her table. One drop splashed onto her arm. Ndidi screamed. The scream that erupted from Ndidi's throat was not human. It echoed across the market square like the cry of some ancient sea creature, freezing everyone in place. She began clawing at her skin where the raindrop had landed, her fingernails leaving deep scratches that should have bled but didn't. Instead, the scratches revealed something underneath that made people's stomachs turn. Scales, real scales, silver and green, covering what used to be human skin. "Jesus Christ!" someone shouted. Mrs. Okafor, thinking Ndidi was having a heat stroke, grabbed a bucket of water from her own stall and threw it over the writhing woman. The effect was instantaneous and terrifying. Ndidi's screams intensified as her body began to change before everyone's eyes. Her legs, scratched raw from her frantic clawing, began to merge together. The scales spread across her skin like living armor, reflecting the storm light in hypnotic patterns. Her arms grew more muscular, her fingers developing webbing that hadn't been there moments before. Gills opened along her neck, fluttering desperately as they tried to extract oxygen from the air. "Mommy water!" Mama Eze screamed. "She's a river spirit." The market erupted into chaos. People scattered in every direction, their screams mixing with Ndidi's inhuman cries and the sound of the increasingly violent storm. But Ndidi was no longer trying to escape the rain. Something fundamental had broken inside her, some barrier that had kept her human form intact. She dragged herself across the muddy ground using her powerful arms, leaving a trail that looked like nothing any human could make. "Help me," she gasped, but her voice was changing too, becoming deeper, more resonant, like a sound traveling through water. "Please, help me." But no one could help her now. The transformation was complete, irreversible, and terrifying beyond comprehension. She pulled herself toward the river that ran behind the village, her powerful tail propelling her through the mud with surprising speed. When she reached the water's edge, she slipped beneath the surface and disappeared, leaving only ripples and the echo of her final haunting cry. The rain stopped as suddenly as it had begun. In the sudden silence that followed, the people of Udi village stood staring at the spot where their mysterious fish seller had vanished, knowing that they had witnessed something that would haunt their dreams for the rest of their lives. The smell of fish lingered in the air long after she was gone. Later that evening, "Did you see her houses?" Chike whispered to the group huddled around Mama Eze's fire. "All that wealth, all those properties she bought, what was the real price?" "Some prices are too high to pay," Mama Eze replied, staring into the flames, "no matter how much you gain." And in the depths of the river, where the current was strongest and the water was darkest, something that had once been human wept tears that mixed with the flowing water, carrying her regrets downstream toward the sea. The mysterious fish seller had learned too late that some bargains extract more than money. They extract everything that makes you human. The end. My dear friends, Ndidi gained houses, land, and bank accounts full of money, but lost the very thing that made her human. Her story warns us that shortcuts to wealth always extract a hidden price. When someone offers you everything you want with strange conditions attached, remember Ndidi's scales and her final scream as the rain washed away her humanity. Some prices are too high to pay, no matter how desperate we become. Don't let desperation make you vulnerable to bargains that seem too good to be true. Your humanity is worth more than all the wealth in the world. If this story gave you chills and made you think twice about mysterious success, then please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. These African folktales carry wisdom passed down through generations. Your subscription supports authentic storytelling that both entertains and educates. Remember, you never know when you might encounter your own mysterious fish seller. You'll want to remember Ndidi's story when that moment comes. Subscribe, share, stay safe.